Good morning, everybody. Welcome on in. I'm your host, BullMuscle. It is Saturday, January 20th, and it is below freezing in here. This is a meat locker, I'll put it that way. So what that means is we got press day today, but I need to spend quite a bit of time warming up just so that way, well, I don't freeze. Kind of important. So we'll start with the jump rope. Definitely, when I say I don't freeze, it's more, I'd really rather not, there we go. I'd really rather not hurt myself, because I haven't warmed up properly enough. Muscles are going to be stiffer, a little bit less flexibility, that sort of thing when it's this cold. Come on. There we go. Welcome on in, Eris, Solace, HQ. Good to see y'all. Yeah, it is very cold this morning. It is less than 30 degrees. I'm not sure quite how much lower, but it's definitely in the 20s right now. Definitely not ideal for my southern ass. So we'll get started. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get warm if I want to stay warm. That bar is very cold steel. Definitely less than pleasant to grip right now. Can't believe I got the first comment. Well, I mean, hey, that's the new little reward, y'all. First one in gets to see the first comment. By the way, I'd like to give Mr. Severus a shout out for his excellent work on the new intro. Did any of y'all notice it? Maybe that's not something y'all pay attention to, but I certainly do, and I'm very thankful for it. Oh, by the way, I do believe I made a quick update to the atomic emoji. No, Twitch has decided not to approve it yet, even though it's the same thing. Can't you put the heating on? What heating? This is an unair-conditioned, unheated garage. I'm at risk of the elements out here. There's a reason I'm shirtless most of the time in here. It's because this is South Carolina, and the vast majority of the time, it's 85, 90 degrees in this garage, so I'm sweating my ass off. Today is the rare exception to that rule. What heater? I think you're assuming something exists here that doesn't. If you guys think I stream shirtless normally because y'all like it, nope, that's not the reason. It's because it's a thermal necessity down here most of the time. Yeah, gaming and workout clothes. Cool. I'm glad someone else noticed that. Definitely really appreciate Severus stepping up and making that wonderful little updated clip for us. to all enjoy. But I'm gonna do just a couple reps at 125 before we dive on in. Again, I need to really be warm before hitting this. Today we're hitting press, so it's gonna be 4x5. I would like to be hitting it at 175 to 180. We'll see how it feels. There we go. Move y'all back just a touch. Oh, if y'all face on. There we go. There we go. Yeah, the plates are cold. The bar is cold. Everything's cold in here. It's actually, I've got a thermometer on my watch, but I was wearing it, so it's still got the heat, residual heat from my wrist. So in about 10 minutes, it'll be accurate. But yeah, no, once I get warm, I can go a little bit further down. What's nice is, you know, right now, the whole point, right, so how do cold weather clothes work? It's trapping body heat and keeping me warmer. That's how that works. But once I'm warm, I can take this off, and then all that heat is going to start warming up the room. Well, when I say room, the garage. All right, so to start, we'll just do basic shoulder press for a few reps. Nice and easy. I'll do behind the neck press just for one. Get it right, get it good. Oh yeah. Does that car battery charger help with any warmth? What car battery charger? I have to pull my car out so I can do this stream. It's my roommate's car is in here, but it's off. So no, it doesn't. I mean, to an extent, like if I turn that car on, I could theoretically warm it up. It would make too much noise. It wouldn't be good for the stream quality. But yeah, no, that's cold. We'll get used to it. What I do need to do is throw on 175. So you're supposed to be doing this at 75%, I believe, of our desired 1 rep max. So if we do the math on that, desired 1 rep max for me, I really want to be able to shoulder press 225. So that would be 168 for 75%. Now, if I want to go to 80%, that would be 180. So 175 is kind of in the middle of those two. I'm going to start with it. If it feels too heavy, I'll go down to 170. If it feels easy, I'll go to 180. But for the start, 175 should do. Let's see, 4 by 5 at, what was our last shoulder press set? That was a deadlift day. Yeah, we did 175 last time, so this should be a good place to start. What about carbon monoxide? What carbon monoxide? Carbon monoxide only exists if you have a gasoline engine running. I don't have that happening in here. Again, there's one electric car that's not on, and another electric car that I pulled out of the driveway, or out of the garage into the driveway. Did Dodge handle the dishes? No, she did not. I handled all of that. No. The trouble, so GM designed the Volt to be more kind of, they designed it with longevity and reliability in mind. So below 32 degrees, there's something called ERDTT, engine running due to temperature. So if I turn the car on, because it's below 32 in here, what would happen is the engine would come on. And then that's a really good way to get carbon monoxide poisoning. So we're not doing that. You call this cold at single digits here in Kentucky? I live in the deep south and I moved here from Texas. Any cold resistance I had left me 10 years ago. Sue me. No. Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Get a little music going here. Okay, so yeah, we got 175. I feel like this should go up pretty easy. We're only doing 5, but we'll see. Let's go. Let's go In the Cradle Will Rock by Van Halen. I haven't done that one. Texas is very warm. Yes, it is. Big Red Fro, a 15 stream streak. Thank you very much. Yeah, typically, okay, so Texas is normally pretty warm, but the northern chunks of the state are really at the southern edge of the Great Plains, so North Texas can get chilly. Typically, it doesn't stay too chilly, but South Carolina very seldom falls below freezing, so this is substantially below average for us. South Carolina, you gotta remember, right? So Texas is very big, right? So, you know, short of Alaska, it's the biggest state in the union. So yes, along the Gulf Coast, Texas stays pretty warm in the winter. Houston winters are very mild. But, you know, Dallas is as far inland, right, as Little Rock or as, you know, Knoxville or anything like that. So, you know, if you get to the north part of Texas, you're fairly far away from the coast. You're well into the plains at that point. All right. Update on Dodger after a bender yesterday night. She feels like shit this morning, but I told her she was gonna do. I told her that was what's gonna happen. I'll be honest. I didn't need the additional motivation to continue being dry for this year, but I certainly got it yesterday. If anything, it was karmic justice for all the times I've gotten shit faced. All right, let's go. 2, 3. That's pretty good. I think we're gonna stick with that. At least for the first set or two. Yeah, well, conservative. So I've decided to give up alcohol for 2024. So I'm kind of trying to get on board that sobriety boat too. I've had drinking issues in the past, so I'm trying to solve it. I'm going completely dry for 2024. If I want, I can revisit alcohol in 2025, but alcohol and I are not on speaking terms until next year. We live near the equator, so we went to South for a vacation. Yeah, so if you live near the equator, the idea of anything below about 60 degrees is not something you're used to at all. You know, I went to Puerto Rico a few months back for my mom's vacation, for my mom's birthday. We took her down to Puerto Rico because she lives in Washington State. And if you guys don't know, Washington State is in the northwest corner of the United States. Only state further northwest is Alaska. And while Washington is extraordinarily pretty in the summertime, it gets very dark and very gray there in the winter. You'll get 6, 7 hours of sunlight, and that's about it. The sun will go up at 9 and it'll go down at 3:34. So with that in mind, with you know, if you're a Washington resident, you're typically looking to find at least one vacation where you head south. I think Washington, if you're in and around the Seattle metro area or the Tacoma metro area, either or, I think you're further north of every. I think it is the northernmost major U.S. city, unless you count Anchorage, which I wouldn't. I don't think Anchorage is big enough to qualify here when I'm saying major. It's further north of Minneapolis. It's further north of Boston. It's further north of Madison, Wisconsin. It's further north of Boise. It's clearly further north of Portland. So you definitely have to deal with that. My friends are finally gonna let Lucy get drunk with them on our vacations together. Yeah, it's the volunteer designated driver every time. Well, honestly, alcohol isn't worth it. I come from a Catholic, German, and Irish, English, Scots-Irish background. So I have a lot of, alcohol is fairly prevalent in my family's culture. So, we didn't grow up with it being this mystical thing, and I think that's a much better attitude to take with it, which is generally the way most European countries treat alcohol. Whereas in the States, I think to an extent, especially because we're idiots and we've made the drinking age 21, which is a really bad idea, it becomes this alluring thing because there's a taboo on it, right? It goes back to the id of the American psyche. In the United States, we are very much of the mindset of, if you tell us not to do X, the one thing we will want to do more than anything else is X. It's the reason Prohibition backfired so badly. It's the reason I think a lot of people see cannabis as trendy. I don't think cannabis is this wonder drug, but I think a lot of people want to consume it because it's a little way of feeling rebellious. It's that inner American spirit, I think. But maybe that's my own conjecture. I think it's, when you make something illegal, people want to do it more. If you take the Washington job, how far will you be from Seattle? A 1-hour ferry ride, so it'll be in Bremerton. If you look on a map, you see Seattle to the west is bordered by Puget Sound. Puget Sound is a very, very deep water feature, and as such, it's ideal for naval equipment. So on the western side of Puget Sound, you have Bremerton Shipyard, you have Silverdale, Bangor. There's a ton of different Keyport. You have a ton of different naval installations all along the Washington coastline for that reason. It's a very good place to have that kind of naval operations. So yeah. Low quality alcohol should be banned. No, that's stupid. Look, okay, HQ. No offense, but we tried that in 1919 and it backfired horrendously. The 18th Amendment was one of the stupidest things this country has ever done. Prohibition is a terrible idea. And here's the thing about low quality alcohol. If you ban it, people will make it themselves. I know because I've made my own wine. Nice. That felt pretty good. I think I'm gonna do the opposite. No, just don't make shit illegal. Okay. Making shit illegal doesn't make it go away. Making prostitution illegal doesn't make it go away. Making cannabis illegal doesn't make it go away. Making alcohol illegal doesn't make it go away. Making something illegal doesn't make it go away. Making homosexuality illegal doesn't make it go away. It's just not how humanity works. There are too many fucking authoritarians that think you can just control people's lives by making shit illegal, and that's just not how it works. Humans will rebel against shit like that. It's who we are, especially Americans. It is who we are to our core. For instance, one of the biggest reasons we revolted against the British in the 1700s was because we were only allowed to trade with the British in the 1700s. We weren't allowed to trade with the French or the Spanish. Just make it so common nobody would care. Well, so that's the opposite approach. If you make it so common and so cheap that nobody would care, you get Russia, which is also not good, where into the 90s, beer wasn't even considered a hard drink. So what you want is I'm a huge fan of taxes. So you can make alcohol more expensive and therefore, to an extent, limit its consumption. The other thing you can do is Bring back shame. You should be ashamed if you get drunk. And there should be a taboo around it, right? There's nothing wrong. You shouldn't be ashamed to have a glass of wine with your dinner, or a glass of whiskey as an aperitif, or a beer after a hard day's work. But if you have 10 beers, yeah, you should be a little bit ashamed. You shouldn't stigmatize drinking. You should stigmatize excessive drinking. You should certainly stigmatize drinking and driving, which frankly I think we've actually done a very good job of in this country. Drunk driving accidents, while they still do exist, are far, far less common than they were in the 1970s and 1980s. So, you know, like everything else, it's progress. Said yourself, the UK's rate of clinical obesity is almost as bad as America's. Yeah, it's slightly better. It is slightly better. So I still think, I'm a huge fan of, look, if people are going to make bad decisions and eat absolute loads of crap anyway, at least if you tax the junk food, you have a little bit of money in reserve, so that way the people who make these bad decisions are at least in some method paying for the end result, which is a lot more healthcare costs. So, Seattle area is good fresh food, fresh fish, and 3 sport venues to check out. Oh yeah, no, I've been to, actually, even more so than the Mariners, I love going to Tacoma Rainiers games because, especially in the summertime, the weather is very pleasant in Washington, and if you go to the Rainiers game at Tacoma, the stadium is right next to the Tacoma Narrows, and it's a little bit elevated to where you get this fantastic view of the mountain. And it's just really, really nice. You'll get the sunsets on the evening games. The mountain will slowly change color as the sun sets on it, and it's just beautiful. It's the perfect backdrop for a baseball stadium. So as great as Mariners games are, and they are really good, you're actually better off going to their minor league affiliate in Tacoma. It's amazing. What about fake alcohol? You don't drink alcohol because you're Muslim. That's fair. Okay, so good for you. I respect that. You know, if your religion says not to do something, hey, and you follow it, more power to you. What you should not do, though, is force others to conform to your view. This is also, maybe I feel this pretty strongly about this way, is I could never be Muslim for one very simple fact. Here in South Carolina, hog farming is a very, very big industry, and the cheapest meat here that I can buy is pork. I eat a lot of pork. It is a staple of my diet, frankly. So that is the biggest reason, more than any other reason, that I could never be either Muslim or Jewish, for that matter. I eat too much pig. As far as fake alcohol is concerned, like non-alcoholic beers, I actually do quite like that. I actually do have a small store of non-alcoholic beers because if you've been out working in the summertime where it's hot and you'd like something other than water, you know, if it's a nice high quality craft NA beer, it tastes just like a beer, but there's no alcohol in it. And I personally, I don't drink beer to get drunk. If I wanted to get drunk, I'd drink liquor. But beer, I just like the taste. So, you know, it's that kind of thing. It's the same in China, pork is cheap, and well, it's really the same pretty much everywhere that pigs are raised because it's cheaper to raise pigs than it is to raise cattle. Cattle require a fair amount of land for grazing. Pork, you know, pigs will eat almost anything. That's partially why Muslims and Jews consider pork to be a dirty meat. But because they'll eat a whole lot more stuff, actually goats will do the same. Pigs and goats kind of work that way. Because they'll eat a lot more, it's a lot easier to feed a pig, and therefore it's a lot easier and cheaper to raise a pig. To recoup the national cost, I suppose, those taxes aren't used on health service. You have to direct those taxes appropriately, as if that's going to happen here. Well, again, that's my one argument against universal health care. Only way I would support universal health care is if you make the fatties pay up too. It's that simple. I know that sounds really harsh, but all right. Let's go ahead and rep another set here. Grumbles. Well, let's go ahead and hit this. Now, I will say, actually, There is one nation in particular, I'm really impressed with the way they are combating obesity and junk food. They've just introduced a massive junk food tax, and their capital has put down more bike lanes than any other capital in the world, and that is Colombia in South America. I think Colombia's got something really good going on with the way they are combating obesity and combating traffic congestion in Bogota, their biggest city, by building as many bike lanes as humanly possible. That's a fantastic idea. Colombia is a very mountainous country too, so you know, it's a win-win for the nation of Colombia in the sense that you get a stronger and healthier populace with which to defend your nation against a ridiculously despotic neighbor, perhaps one that is looking to grab other countries' land because it can't manage its own wealth successfully. A certain socialist nation, perhaps due to the direct east of Colombia. If I were Colombian, I would be keeping a lot of guns pointed at Caracas, because I guarantee you they're not going to stop at Guyana. Let's see what would happen after Japan solves overpopulation. GSC, Nestle, McKee, Coca-Cola, and Hershey Corp would not like my idea. No, they wouldn't. I don't care. Hey, here's the thing though. For every, those companies may absolutely hate my plan, but Dole, Del Monte, and pretty much every farmer in the state of California fucking loves my idea. Because that's going to mean the demand for fruit and vegetables goes. All right. So, not every business would be against my plan. All right, let's do this. Set 3, this is 180. It's starting to get warmer in here though, I can feel it already. Yes, sir. That's 180. We'll stick to that. We're going to do one more of those. Let's see what would happen after Japan solves overpopulation. So, right, everybody's saying, Japan's birth rate is falling. Japan's birth rate is falling and freaking out over it. Why? Okay, let's think for a second here. Japan is a nation with the landmass the size of California and an arable landmass 1/10 of that. Japan is an extremely mountainous country, and as such, what little land they do have that is suitable for human settlement is extremely densely populated. The falling population in Japan is gonna be okay. As it turns out, Japan was still an industrial dynamo with half the people, several decades ago. Japan's gonna be just fine. Japan's pretty much not, no, I wouldn't go that far. Japan has issues too. There's a reason there's a term called karoshi in Japan. Karoshi is a Japanese term for death by overwork. The Japanese work incredibly long hours, and it's really bad for their culture. It's part of why their birth rate is so low, because the average Japanese was called salaryman. I'm butchering that, but that's actually what, it's a katakana word in Japanese. The salaryman in Japan works 70 or 80 hours a week very often, and as such, doesn't have time for dating, and if he does have time for dating, certainly doesn't have time for marriage, and if he does have time for marriage, very seldom has time for kids. The other factor is that in Japan, you've got I gotta pick my words very carefully here, but because Japan has embraced women in the workforce, like much of the West has, but Japan still has extremely traditional gender roles, men are expected to compete with women for those jobs, then pay for everything, and then pay to raise a family even while the woman works, which means that also includes paying for daycare, which is an extremely expensive proposition to have someone else raise your kids instead of the woman you decided to marry. I think I can make some very easy educated guesses as to why Japan has such a low birth rate. I kind of want more work. That's great. But me personally, I think 40 hours is plenty. Frankly, I don't think humans were meant to do more than 40 hours a week, work a week. If anything, I think efficiency peaks somewhere around 30 to 32. There's a reason for this. German productivity per hour worked is the highest in the world, even though the Germans work fewer hours than almost everyone else. It's because the Germans go in and get their shit done. America must be worried about less anime and more fewer visits from Japanese. Nope, not touching that one with a 10-foot pole. Nope, 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 nope. That's a good way to. Nope, I get you're being sarcastic, but I ain't even touching that one with a 10-foot pole. Nope. That's a good way to get myself in trouble with Twitch. All right. Last set, and then we'll move to, well, last set on conventionals, and we'll move on to behind the neck. What did we do at behind the neck yet? Last time we did 155. Man, I didn't realize I was killing it that good on behind the neck. Let's temp out. Let's see. Yeah, it's saying 35 degrees. I think that's still a bit optimistic. I don't think it's if it's above freezing, it's just barely. All right. I think I'll be able to take the sweatshirt off after this rep. Half of Twitch are anime diehards. Yes. Twitch's business model is based on keeping you, the viewer, trapped inside staring at screens all day. Obviously, you're staring at a screen watching me, but this is realistic. This is life. There's no special effects. There's no anime anything, right? There's no artificial stimulus to gin up your brain's chemistry. This is just real. This is just a guy talking to you to go and teach you and motivate you to go and fucking lift, you know? British people are slowly, nah. Look, I can't blame the Japanese for creating anime. We dropped the power of two suns on them, so, you know, what do you want? By the way, was that justified? You're damn fucking right it was. A lot of people ask me, you know, because I'm a nuclear engineer and an American, do you believe the droppings of bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki were justified? Yes. Was it the right decision? Unequivocally, it was. The threat of the most evil empire possibly to ever face this earth. We had to put them in their place. Unfortunately, they stole the secrets from us a few years after that, but Patton wasn't 100% wrong when he said we were fighting the wrong enemy in World War II. We did need to fight the Nazis, but the idea that the Stalinists were any better, I'm not so sure. All right, let's go. One more. Get up there! Yes, sir. Oh. Nice. All right. Now you got behind the necks. But I'm going to take a pee first, excuse me. All right, well, I can tell you how I know it's cold out. Two reasons. One, I'm pulling a scared turtle downstairs. And two, I can see the steam coming off my piss. That's a pretty clear sign if you ask me. Jay, good to see you. 3 Doors of Outdoor Construction work for Habitat for Humanity. Well, God bless you. I've done Habitat in the past. It's a fantastic charity. And what you're doing is you really are giving people a hand up, not a hand out. Because almost all Habitat homes they're zero interest, but they are mortgages. If you are lucky enough to get a Habitat for Humanity house, you have to pay that principal back. And the reason they do it that way is because that allows the charity to be sustainable. That allows the charity to continue operating. You got feet and hand warmers, hell yeah. Would you rather have 2 bombs or an invasion of Japan that would cost thousands of American troops and probably ended up killing more people in Japan? People forget, the atomic bombs killed less people than all the napalm and all the firebombing of cities like Tokyo did for the 2 years prior, 1944 and the rest of 1945. Right? It's a very reductive calculus to say bomb go boom, therefore bad. And not to mention, the Japanese Empire at that time was so fervently militaristic that only a true force showing of power like that could have snapped the Japanese psyche enough to where they'd have come to the table. No surrender was, I mean, there's a reason you had kamikaze pilots in 1944 and 45. That was the Japanese mindset, it's the warrior mindset, the samurai mindset, which is really impressive in a vacuum, but if you're the enemy and you have to combat that, only a total show of power will get them to, face the writing on the wall. As tough as that may sound. Not to mention, before anybody sits there and tries to get the Japanese to be, portray the Japanese as victims of an imperial American, big bad imperial America, these were the people that raped Nanking, all right? Imperial Japan is not that is not the entity you want to defend in terms of historical choices. I'll put it that way. They're very weird. Promoting self-defense is promoting violence. For sure. Best as before, would AI do good in politics so it wouldn't care about money? No, because AI can be manipulated by people behind the scenes. You don't forget about baton. Yeah, that's the other thing. This is one, I've heard this from Hawaiians before, that Hawaii would have been better off had it never been taken over by the Americans. And there was a lot of fuckery on the American side. Hell, we've even apologized for that. I think it was President Clinton actually acknowledged. We basically forced a coup to overthrow the Kingdom of Hawaii in the late 1800s. However, had we not done that, Hawaii would have gotten absolutely brutalized by Japan in World War II. We're talking a full-scale... Hawaii would have suffered the fate that the Philippines did. Ask any Filipino how they feel about Japan, and you'll understand why. As bad as getting... As wrong as what we did to Hawaii in the late 1800s was, it was the best of the alternatives. I can promise you that. That being said, Japan's a fantastic country. I used to live there, and it is a wonderful culture that they should be very, very proud of. They just went a little too far in the 1930s and 1940s. And by a little too far, I mean way too far, but still. Although, that being said, it's a shame the Imperial Japanese couldn't have, whacked Mao while they had the chance. That would have saved the world quite a few innocent deaths. I'm getting warm. Let me go ahead and... Oh, that's much better. Here we go. All right. That felt all right. I think I'm still kind of warming up, honestly. It's supposed to be an RP 6 to 7, 6 to 8. That felt all right. wasn't easy. I definitely feel like I could have gotten at least 1 or 2 more reps. Definitely not going any heavier. Hey, 2-day leftovers, what'll come on? Now, even then, people say, oh, the Russians are far better off now than they were under the Stalin years. In terms of the way the society's developed too. Now, I think the Russians need to figure out what their plan is after Putin, because Putin won't live forever, and I don't see, when Vladimir Putin inevitably passes away, he's getting up there in age. Granted, we have some crypt keepers here in the States, so I'm acknowledging that. I see a power vacuum forming in Russia. I don't see a natural, successor to Putin. I think if I was in the Russian Politburo, I'd be very, very worried about that. Or the Duma, or whatever the fuck you want to call the lackeys to Putin. I don't know what their plan is, but it doesn't appear to me as though they really have one. Let's see, what else we got? Well, wide grip. All right, well, I think we're going to try some floor press today. I haven't ever done floor press. Are we walking the same country we're underage? The highest suicide rates in the world? Oh yeah. No, every country has its problems, but yeah. Oh yeah, there's totally, I was talking about that earlier, right? There's a lot of things I really admire about Japanese culture, but they've got their own issues too. We all have our own issues. That being said, my favorite, and in my opinion, the best country in the world, not even close. There is no other country I would ever want to be a citizen of. It is really rather bizarre to see the Russians in general acting. Why is it? It feels like the camera's slightly off. Whatever. That's not right. That is definitely that. There we go. That's a better angle. It definitely seems to me as though the Russians need a succession plan for Putinism. Frankly, I believe with this war in Ukraine, they've completely shot any credibility of being a trustworthy international partner. They've more or less, under Putin, Russia has chosen to turn itself into effectively China's gas station. That's what the Russian economy is. It's a giant gas station. The late John McCain said that, and he was correct. And that's part of why I get so angry about American fuel consumption. If we as a country just consume 10 to 20% less petroleum, we would have the Russians and the Saudis under our boots overnight. But we're too fat and lazy to do that. Based on logic instead of reason. Population issue is so bad in Russia, they're importing Russian civilians to get married to Chinese civilians. Well, in regards to population, Russia, pretty much every Western country, and many Eastern nations at this point, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, China, are well below natural replacement fertility rates, which is a good thing. The Earth's environment is not able to sustain 8 billion people at the levels of consumption most would deem acceptable. It's that simple. The Earth doesn't have that many resources. It's a math problem. All right, I do know this set to stay warm. Let's go. Too bad. Could have probably gotten 2 more reps minimum there. Need to balance out, right? The simple answer. That's what's going on. Why is Stream Elements not working today? Oh well. I'm not going to worry about that. Let's see how I can get the dock back up. That's strange. I'll have to play with that later. For some reason, stream elements ain't showing up. Planet does have enough resources. Planet grow capitalism. Fallacy capitalism and religion. We're not progressing as fast as we should be. No, it doesn't. Okay, here's how I know. Right. And I'm not, when I'm talking natural resources, I'm not talking about oil here. I'm talking about water. There is a finite supply of sustainable water in the world. And water is not just what sustains us in terms of we need to drink it, but we need to use it for agriculture. No water equals no food, okay? At 8 billion people, if we wanted a sustainable ecosystem in terms of having enough water to go around, we would all have to adopt the living standards of the average Bangladeshi. Now, I don't know how much y'all know about Bangladesh, but it is a pretty poor country. If you've seen what the slums of Dhaka look like, it's not pretty. We are overpopulated right now. The world is overpopulated right now. So, unless we start throwing big on desalination, we will run out of water. It's already happening in the American Southwest. The Colorado continues to get lower and lower every year. Now, if we want to fix that, it's very easy. We have to start putting desalination plants in and pulling more drinking water out of the oceans. However, desalination requires a lot of electric power. The only way you can do that sustainably, 24 hours a day, guess who? It's our good friend nuclear fission again. Water has to do for politics and has to do with capitalism. Capitalism isn't why the American Southwest is running out of water. It's very simple, right? The American Southwest has seen a population boom over the last 50 years that's truly incredible. And credit where it's due, cities like Phoenix and Las Vegas are actually taking per capita water usage a lot more seriously than they used to. But in terms of consumption, you still have golf courses in these places, which is insane. But the biggest consumer of water in the American Southwest is the Imperial Valley. And you could say, okay, we'll just stop sending water to the farmers in the Imperial Valley. Okay, you can say goodbye to all that wonderful fresh produce you can get for affordable prices in the wintertime. This is the problem. I don't think we want to go ahead and cut off the supply of fresh produce in the winter. That's a really good way to jack obesity rates up even higher. The trouble is very simple. Too many people competing over too few resources. You either need to find a way to create more resources or you need to have fewer mouths to feed. And that's a very simple proposition. Frankly, we're already there with a below replacement fertility rate. Just let things be. Frankly, the fact that the cost of child rearing is so expensive in the West is the carrying card indicator that the free market is telling people we're overpopulated, we have too much. Prefer when you're shirtless. Eris, we'll get there. I'm just, it's still very cold in here. Golf courses have to do with capitalism. No, they don't. Golf was invented before capitalism was today. Come on now. Golf was invented in the days of feudalism. Now, if you want to blame golf on feudalism, by all means do that, because fuck golf. But, and I say that as a beneficiary of the world's most prestigious golf tournament, the Augusta Masters. The Augusta Masters produces a shit ton of economic revenue for this part of the country. But even then, I can recognize how bad a sport golf is in terms of the amount of resources required to create a golf course and sustain it. It's insane. When was my first kiss? First kiss would have been senior year of high school. Oh my goodness. Arundel Beach State Park, Anne Arundel County, Maryland. Wow, you just took me back. That is a vivid memory right there. Holy crap. Is golf overrated? Yes. Because it would be better if scientists determine policy to properly look at history. Scientists and academics don't make for good leaders. It's always an ethical nightmare. We need more engineers, not more scientists, if you ask me. Because engineers often have to balance risk. And any political decision is a decision made in a realm of moral hazard. There is no perfect option. Someone's going to get screwed over no matter what decision you make. There are no perfect decisions. All right, let me go ahead and hit another set. I think this is our third set on behind the neck. By the way, proof that golf isn't just a capitalist problem, there are a lot of communist countries that love golf too. Engineers are going to become rare because of the AI. I don't agree with that. I know plenty of young engineers. We're going to be just fine. There are some places where you cannot use AI in engineering. My field is one of them. Should golf be played in extreme moderation? Golf should be played in places where a golf course makes sense to create. Scotland, you know, where the game was invented. You can build golf courses in New England because it's fairly wet there and you've got the right terrain for it. Building golf courses in the desert is a patently stupid idea. Or if you're going to make a golf course in a place like that, xeriscape it. Make it very low water use. Although, in a place like Las Vegas, frankly, with the skyrocketing housing costs there, that city should have 0 golf courses right now until enough housing has been built. Doubly so for Los Angeles, but Los Angeles is a hopeless cause. LA is fucked. All right, we got one more set of behind the neck. I mean, look, the truth is we have better alternatives to a full game of golf. What does golf give you that a game of mini golf or top golf or a driving range doesn't? If you want to just hit a static ball, frankly, I'm a huge fan of a batting cage because baseball is a middle-class American sport. Golf is an upper-class American sport. And once again, it's a middle-class W here. Baseball is, all you need is a bat, a ball, and a glove. It's not the cheapest thing in the world, right? That's probably soccer because all you need is a ball. But baseball is still pretty affordable for most people. I know this because in the days of the Deep South, people would make baseballs out of shirt rocks. You take a good solid rock from a riverbed, you tie an old shirt around it, you've got effectively a baseball. And you can use, it's like that old Alabama song, straight up, use a sawmill slab as a baseball bat if you need to, like a 2x4. What about cricket? I don't understand cricket, that's too British for me, but hey, by all means, if you can understand cricket, hey, good for you. Golf gives you access to separate yourself from a larger demographic. You don't have to mince words. Look, man, I lived near the Augusta Masters. For a very long time, it meant the means to separate yourself from black people. There is a very nasty legacy of racism in the sport of golf. Frankly, it's one that still exists. And it's just one more reason to hate the sport. I only support the Masters around here because it's a massive economic boost to the area. And this is one of the poorest parts of the country, so it's kind of necessary. Nah, golf is, unfortunately, it's the most arrogant game too. How is it that the sport with the smallest ball requires the most amount of land use? Ugh. No, I do not like golf at all. Another place where it's just shockingly ridiculous that golf courses exist is Oahu on Hawaii. It's one of the most densely populated islands in the world. And on the leeward side, there's very little rain, so you have to use what is a scarce water supply on keeping the golf course looking nice. Stupid. Not to mention, housing costs in Oahu are eye-watering. That needs to be housing right there, not fucking golf courses. Ugh. I could go on. I really don't like golf. Let's do this. Come on. Last set. go. Nice. Man, it is cold in here. I'll probably drop the pants pretty soon, but not yet. I'm still trying to keep a little bit warmer. Proprietary rights, real property. Yeah, clubs and courses. Morning, Chef Sugar Bear. Welcome on in. Good to see you. Yeah, golf is, George Carlin did a great rant on golf. Golf is elitist, wasteful, anti-environmentalist, racist, frankly, in a lot of ways, or at least certainly has a very strong legacy of racism. It's just, you go down the list of nasty side effects of that fucking sport. I'm telling you, if you want a great pastime in the United States that's fun for everybody and everybody can enjoy, that's baseball. There is not a better sport in the world than baseball, if you ask me. Well, okay, rugby's pretty great too. Ice hockey's great, but unfortunately here in the South, it's kind of an academic thing to play. Also, ice hockey, as a result of that, is kind of elitist as well. You can't, obviously up north, it's still expensive to play hockey, but you can probably get a game of pond hockey going if you live in a state like Minnesota. You can't do that here. You have to go to an indoor arena, which is expensive. Golf on the moon? Well, we tried that in the 60s. Very famously, the Apollo astronauts tried to play golf on the moon, which is, that I will admit, that's the only acceptable land use. That's the only acceptable land use I've come up with for golf courses, right there. That's a flex right there. That's the only acceptable time to play golf, is to dunk on the USSR. If you can play golf as a way to flex on communists, okay, then I'm in. Kind of thing you bamboos me. Enjoy golf or anyone play that actually knows what they're doing. Golf is a good walk ruined. I can't stand that sport. That's all right. We don't have to agree. You can like golf. There's nothing wrong with that, but I strongly dislike it. Again, I think baseball is just it is a so obviously superior sport. But, I'm a good red-blooded American, so of course I would. I mean, if you don't love baseball, are you even really American? Baseball is awesome. All right, so we got a wide grip. If we're going to do 135 to start, we need to go down weight. Speaking of things I really actually do love about the Japanese, yeah, they may have given us anime, which was a plague, but they fuck heavily with baseball. I'm about it. Speaking of other things, here's another reason baseball is awesome. We could actually repair a lot of the strained relationships we have with Latin America if we made baseball diplomacy a bit more of a thing again. Baseball's fucking dope. Shit. Frankly, I want to see an MLB team in San Juan, Puerto Rico, just because I think it would be fun as hell. Like, every single Puerto Rican who has ever watched my channel instantly is going to be like mashing that subscribe button. Soccer is also better than golf. I don't like either, but in fairness, that's a personal problem. Soccer is a much less elitist sport than golf, but in high school, I was a football player, an American football player, and one of the things we would do, every so often the soccer players get a little too cheeky and kick a ball onto our practice field, and so we got to play in a game of Bully the Grass Fairies, which is what we called them. I love rugby. Oh my gosh. Now, you want to talk about a fantastic sport that I really wish Americans would embrace. Look, I played American football through high school, and rugby is a superior sport. It hurts to say that, but I can't, man, rugby players are the toughest motherfuckers you ever seen. And some of them are built just absolutely different. Like, you ever seen one of these Samoan or Tongan rugby players? They look like the dude from fucking Moana. It's incredible. They got the tats too. Man, I'm way too white to ever have one of those tats, but they look fucking sick. I wish I could pull those tats off. That's about the only tat I'd ever want. I do whatever sports and read whatever I want. I do what I want. Based. Hell yeah. Again, this is the other thing, right? I'm going to shit on golf, but if you like golf, ignore me and continue to play it. I will relentlessly shit on golf because I fucking hate that sport. Okay, so we got wide grip press. This is 135. Let's hit it. That's pretty easy. That's not bad. Let's do good. Yeah. Well, we'll bump it up to 140. That felt pretty easy. If there's a new way, I'll be the first in line. But that'll work this time. Speaking of other things, we're talking about baseball for a second here. I want to see the MLB go like crazy high expansion. I want to see frickin'. Golf is working class over in the UK? Okay, so that is a very big difference between the UK and the US. Golf here is almost exclusively, middle class at the absolute lowest, but mostly an upper middle or upper class sport. Gym Tips is a newcomer. Okay, so HQ Gamery. If you're looking at low cost tips, so do you have any weightlifting experience, or are you completely new to the world of the iron game? So like, have you ever used, barbells before, dumbbells before? Do you have access to them? Do you have access to a gym? Let me get a little bit more details there, and I'll give you my advice. I don't think you necessarily need a personal trainer if you've done a little bit of your homework. Okay, so you're brand new. If you don't have access to a gym, I would start with basic body weight workouts. So sit-ups, push-ups, wall sits are a really good one if you want to start working on your legs, body weight squats, and a little bit of cardio. Once you move on beyond that point and you get gym access, or you get some kettlebells or dumbbells, I'd say work on kettlebell swings. And again, there are tutorials all over YouTube on how to do that. I can walk you through it if you'd like. Kettlebell swings, goblet squats with a kettlebell or a dumbbell. Those are things, if you have that equipment at home, you don't need a gym for. But once you get to the gym, on my Discord channel, let me go ahead and plug my Discord here because it's actually valuable. I have a basic workout regimen that gives you a good upper-lower split, which is really, I think, pretty good for new people. I would say 4 days a week, 2 days upper, 2 days lower. You can do a heavier weight day and a heavier volume day. What I mean by volume is more reps, more sets. So, lighter weight. But if you go with those two, that's a pretty good place to start. Now, as for working the individual muscles and the individual exercises, you can watch me doing these and take notes, or you can ask me how to do something, or like a 2-day leftover set, a personal trainer can, at least if nothing else, but for like the first few weeks, give you all the tips that you need. Now, a personal trainer is going to be a little bit more expensive. My advice is free, but I can only show you over a screen, unless you were to come here to rural South Carolina, but I don't think you're doing that. YouTube will give me hilarious. Well, there are some good YouTubers and some not so good YouTubers. For absolute beginners, I think starting Strength by Mark Rippetoe is just fine. Alan Thrall is my probably favorite go-to for YouTube advice, because not only is the advice actually good, but he's very entertaining with the way he presents it. He's natty, he owns his own gym, he's done bodybuilding stuff, he's done CrossFit stuff. He's done powerlifting stuff. He's got tons and tons of information. So those would be the two I would start with in terms of recommending. A lot of people like that Sam Sulek fella. Just remember, with Sam Sulek, he's very clearly on some rocket fuel. You're not going to ever look like Sam Sulek if you're just starting out. Like that takes years of work and frankly probably some PEDs as well. That does not invalidate, by the way, any PED use does not invalidate the amount of effort it takes to look like that. Sam Sulek looks fucking incredible, but just don't look at that and say, oh, I can achieve that in a year if I just work hard, because you can't. Keep getting bombarded with people who drink whey powder concoction things. I mean, I do. There's nothing special about whey protein powder. It's just a very convenient way to get protein into your system. That's it. Right, this thing has 64 grams of protein in it, and I can knock it down if I wanted to in 20 seconds. You know, that's extremely easy. That's the only reason I go with whey protein. Whey protein is no better or no worse, really, than any other sort of protein, provided that protein is complete. Some proteins, like soy protein, are incomplete, but if you pair soy protein with other vegan proteins like protein found in rice, or protein found in other types of beans, or protein found in nuts, you do get complete proteins. So I will say, if you're vegan or vegetarian, you're on hard mode when it comes to building muscle because, frankly, animal protein is a lot easier to get your nutritional requirements out of than vegetarian or vegan options. It is doable. There are vegan lifters and bodybuilders out there, but they're on hard mode. I have a ton of respect for them because it's very difficult. All right, let's hit another set. I didn't know you had any feelings. What do you mean I ain't kind? Just not your kind. What do you mean I could be the president of the United States of America? Tell me something. It's still we, the people, right? All right, that felt pretty good. I'm gonna stick with 140 today. So we got, what else we got? We're gonna do lat raises today. I want to try floor presses. What else do we want to try? You'll do skull crushers. 4 to 12, 20, 24. Why the wide grip? It's part of the program. So I already did conventional shoulder press and behind the neck shoulder press. What I'm running right now is Alex Bromley's 70s powerlifter, and the press workout. So a lot of the workouts that guys like Roger Estep, Bill Kazmaier used to do are you do your primary exercise, press, bench, squat, deadlift, and then you move to a variation of that. Behind the neck, wide grip are the ones for the volumizing sets of press, for instance. What's my 1 rep overhead press? Strict military press is 200, that's in pounds. I want to get to 225. I think press is probably my weak point right now, so that's why we're working on it. Today I hit 5 rep. I felt like the reps were pretty good at 175 and 180. And if I'm 5 repping 180, I think my true 1 rep max is a little higher than 200. But I haven't tested my 1 rep max, and I won't for a few more weeks. So that's kind of why there's that disparity there. If I can 5 rep 180, it's probably pretty likely I can 1 rep more than 200, but we don't have that proof yet, so I'm not going to claim results that I haven't actually done. So you can use one of those 1 rep max calculators. I don't really like those. To me, it's a feel thing. Yeah, 5 rep max. Well, I wouldn't even say it was a 5 rep max because we did 4 sets. That was working weight. I did 2 sets at 175 at 5 reps and 2 sets at 180. So I think my true 5 rep max is probably closer to 185, 190, but the point is, really, you think it falls off that quickly? Because I've seen the percentages like what, 86%, 85% from a 5 rep to a 1 rep. I think I could probably get at least 205. I feel like 200 seems a bit low, because when I started this program, I was 5 repping, or I was 1 repping 200. Because it's not a bench or a squat. That's true. That's true, but I don't think the drop off is quite that steep. That seems, I mean, I don't know. I think 205 is plausible. Max deadlift. So we're going for 500 by the end of this bulk cycle, which will be in a little over a month. My all-time PR is 455. Last Wednesday, I 5 repped 405. I personally think when I do deadlifts, I don't deadlift, like I abandon the rep if it doesn't come up at least semi-easy, because for me, 1 rep maxing a deadlift is a little bit more of a high-risk move than 1 rep maxing a bench press, for instance. It's just, right, the nature of the lift means you're a little bit more liable at that kind of intensity to break form, and I don't want to do that. So if it doesn't come up fairly easy, I don't do the rep. That being said, right, I did that at 455. That was several weeks ago before this most recent bulk cycle, so I think I've got a little bit more in the tank than that. I'd really like 500. I don't know if we'll get it, but I think 470, 475 is in the cards. AC 51, those are small muscles. That's true. I don't know. I think 200 seems a little conservative. If I can 5 rep 180, I feel like at least, I'd really like 225, but at least 205, 210. How much do I weigh at the moment? Ashes11, thank you very much for the follow. I currently am weighing, let's see, I weighed in today at I actually got to write it down because I forgot to. I actually weighed in a bit low this morning at 221.8. I'm trying to bulk up to about 235, 240 by the end of February. I'm actually surprised. Honestly, I think had a fairly high fiber meal yesterday, and that had its effect. It's exponentially harder. Overhead press is notorious to have a steep fall. If you can notice that, we're working weight. If you rep 5, you can go for another 5, then you hit 6 and it feels like you suddenly fell off a cliff. 200, give or take, seems accurate. I'd like to see, I don't know though, I feel like, this is just sort of what I've noticed, right? So I had trouble 5 repping at 175 at the beginning of this program, and now I can 5 rep 175 fairly confident. And if I was able to 1 rep 200 max at the beginning of this program, I don't think that I have not progressed at all. I think I've at least put on 5 or 10 more pounds. See, that's what I'm saying. I don't think 180 is my true 5 rep max, right? That was working weight. I did 4 sets, 2 of which were at 175 and were frankly pretty easy, 2 of which were at 180. So if I was using, I'm not saying it was my 5 rep max. I'm saying I was working with 180 today as 5 rep sets. I think there's a difference between working weight and 5 rep max, you know? Then you need to retest. Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna work up to that. I'm gonna do that at the end of my bulk cycle. I agree. I think that's what I'm saying. I think 200 is probably an out of date number, but I don't have another number, and I'm not going to claim a higher number than is actually something I've done. You see what I'm saying? But Ash, thank you very much for the follow. All right, I'm gonna do another set. Honestly, that feels pretty easy, but it's supposed to be, an RP6 or RP7. It's not supposed to be too hard. I think we're going to stick with 140 there. Percentage work, no, heavily depends on knowing your 1 rep max. Okay, so this is the thing, right? Okay, so POC, let me talk about this. I'm 12 and I weigh 46 kilograms. No, you're not. So POC, right? What this workout program is doing is it's telling me to go at roughly 75% of my 1 rep max for sets of 5. I'm using a desired 1 rep max instead of my actual 1 rep max. Well, if you're 12, why are you on this stream? So that's what I'm doing. Like that's how I've been running this program so far. I've been seeing pretty decent results. You know, part of that's because I'm bulking and I'm finally putting myself in a caloric surplus, but rep maxes. This is an 18 plus channel, bro. You can't come in here and tell me you're 12. I'm gonna have to kick you out. I don't like doing that, but please look, man. This is an adult chat, and it's meant for adult conversations. If you really are 12, please exit. Don't make me be the villain here. I'd really prefer not to do that. Yeah, we'll stick at 140 for the last set. You weigh 103 at 5'6". Yeah, 103, that's about 45 kilos. But if you're small like that, you know, that's not that bad, right? As far as the plan's concerned, right, or as far as the workout's concerned, I've been using desired 1 rep maxes instead of my actual tested 1 rep maxes just because, well, what it's telling me to do was, again, rep 4x5 at 75%, and it just feels it felt easy. It felt like I wasn't getting a good workout in, so I'm modifying it to fit how I feel. It seems to have worked pretty well so far. I've been lifting long enough to where I can get a pretty good sense of, okay, that was an RP 8, that was an RP 7, that was an RP 9, whatever, right? So let's go ahead and hit a little bit more Megadeth. Follow the program, trust the process. I mean, yeah, I'm right. So the other thing is I'm having to modify. The other thing is I am having to modify it slightly because there are some pieces of equipment I don't have. For instance, it's telling me to do cable tricep pushdowns today. Well, I don't have that, so I'm gonna have to do a reverse extension with, you know, a dumbbell or with a kettlebell. Is it a perfect match? No, but it's working the same exercise. It's working the same muscle. Do not modify anything. I'll modify whatever I like. It's not realistic for me to not modify things. What's your take on the massive layoffs at SI? It's not surprising. Legacy media is going to continue to have challenges as it faces more and more independent threats in terms of journalism across the sports world. Those are long-term processes not meant for rapid progression. I mean, look, man, I'd say so far I've been pretty successful with it, but you know, we're 8 weeks into this program. If I had been seeing serious issues with modifying the way I have been, it would have occurred by this point. Is there a delinquent in paying the bill? School for bodybuilding routines, not strength routines, because the latter you run a tighter margin of error, you do you. I mean, right, there are some things that I'm keeping very, very strict, but it's hard for me to sit here and say, okay, you know, why would I do sets that are, you know, that I've got 3, 4, 5, 6 reps in reserve? At some point, it feels like I wouldn't be pushing my body hard enough. Especially given that I'm, you know, bulking right now. I'm putting in fairly high amount of calories. Maybe it's because I've previously done super squats, but it's part of why this program has seemed so easy.
Now, I will say, with regards to the RPE numbers, I'm a lot more strict on sticking to the program for the variations than I am for the actual exercise, you know, bench, squat, dead, etc. Okay, so that was our last set of press. So we've done 12 total sets of press. 4 conventional, 4 behind the neck, and 4 wide grip. So that's good. 140, write that down. So we got, let's see, I want to try floor presses today. I've never done them before. I think it'd be fun. What the program says to do is skull crushers, so we're going to do those, lateral raises, and then triceps pushdowns. So I can't do triceps pushdowns. I don't have a cable machine, so I have to find an alternative there. Otherwise, I'll do skull crushers, I'll do lateral raises, but I'm probably going to throw on extra volume just because, well, frankly, I can. So that's where we're going to start. But I'm going to do skull crushers. Move into the right settings. And I don't like doing skull crushers very heavy. I think that's not the point. To me, the point of a skull crusher is to hit the point of a skull crusher is to really hit you know, hypertrophy. Now it's saying to do 4 sets of 10, so I'm gonna have to go back and look. We did that at 115 last time. This is 125. Now, if I'm gonna do 4 sets, I better stick to 115. Yeah, I don't like that, but I need to not ego lift. Swallow your pride, use the right weight. Grumble, grumble, grumble. Through the streets, dance like marionettes, swing to the symphony. Just like the Pied Piper, led rats through the streets. Dance like marionettes, swing to the symphony. All right, so I'll hit skull crushers. Why do a program you're doubting in the first place? I'm not doubting the program. I just think I can think of these things. It's right. Oh. There's a difference between discounting everything a program says and saying, okay, I've worked on this program for a little bit, I followed the advice, but I see, you know, I think it would work a little better if I did X, Y, and Z. You do 8 weeks is nothing. Dr. Feelgood, you got it. Dr. Feelgood. Come on. Loaded. There we go. I think there's a difference between doubting a program and wanting to tweak a few things here or there, either for, you know, not having the right equipment or for feeling like, okay, this is a little easy, I want to up it in terms of volume or in terms of weight. All right, here we go, get the balance. Yeah, that feels pretty good. You know, in the bodybuilding exercises, you're doing sets of 10, so you want a few reps in reserve. I will be right back at pee again. There may be one other portion of this too, by the way, with why these weights feel so easy. Because I'm spending a lot of time talking to y'all, the audience, and trying to present a Twitch show, my workouts go longer than they normally do. I know this because some workouts I do at my work gym where I'm not talking to y'all. I notice I go a lot faster in those. And it makes sense because if I'm busy talking to y'all, you know, I'm not keeping the same amount of oxygen in my system. I'm having a lot harder time recovering. So it's a little bit, you know, you gotta find balances like this. The other thing is, you know, I'm not content with where I'm at and I'm seeing results, you know, so it's, you know, things are still going up. If I get to a point where I don't see results anymore, I'm gonna probably look to change it. You know, I'm gonna take a few weeks to figure out, okay, what's the issue? But, you know, right now it's feeling pretty good. So let's go ahead and, that was at what, 115? Yeah. So let's go ahead and hit a few raises. Now, I like to superset front raises and lateral raises because it gets me a really nice burn through multiple parts of my delts. So we're gonna start there. Two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. Big Red, great choice. Dr. Feelgood, he's on you come. Dr. Feelgood. So you superset it. I have to go down weight. I can't do front and lateral raises at the same weight. If you can, that's really impressive. Four, five, oh, 6, yes. 9, 10. Ooh, yeah, I can feel that. Feel a lot of, it just feels like, feel getting warmer, feel a lot of blood flow going through. Definitely feel a little bit of soreness in the delts. That's what I want. That feels really good. So we'll alternate. We'll do a couple more sets like that. A couple more sets of the skull crushers, excuse me. And then I'll do some triceps extensions with the kettlebell. I really do wish I had a cable for push downs, because I do agree, cable push downs are a really good exercise for triceps, but I have to make do with what I've got. So I feel as though that's a reasonable variation to make. And I will say, with a kettlebell in particular, I feel like I get pretty good control over it. I mean, every time I've done that, I feel it in my triceps. So clearly, you know, it's some sort of stimulus to the same muscle. While, you know, the push down, right, you're coming down with it, you're working with gravity, as opposed to an extension, you're working against gravity. With a push down, you're going to be doing a lot more weight than you would with an extension. So, quickly while he's gone, let's ransack the place. Smart ass. It's nice as I'm starting to feel a lot warmer too. With a lot of the exercises like this, where it's more volume, like 5 rep sets is very hard to get warm on. The 10 rep, 12 rep kind of stuff, I definitely feel like, you know, heart rate rises a little bit more. You get a little bit more heat going, which is nice. Because it is cold in here. So speaking of, let's check. It is 35 degrees in here. Yeah, it's cold. That is 2 degrees Celsius. Actually, I think that's 1 degree Celsius. It's like 1.5. Here we go. Oh. All right, get the position right. 2, 3. 1, 2. Come on. There we go. I think I'm gonna stick with 30s for this one because I'm gonna try and superset it. That'll be the move. Here we go. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just a moment. Oh. One, 2. Come on. 7 more. 4, 6. 7, 8. Come on. 9. One more. Oh, feels good. We'll do one more of those. Next up, we'll do 30 and then 20. And for the 20s, I'm gonna go sort of up here, really work that range of motion at a lighter weight. Right, with raises, right, nobody's gonna ask you, bro, what's your 1 rep max on a front raise? Nobody's gonna ask you that. Nobody's gonna ask, what's your max on a lateral raise? That's not gonna happen. Or if someone does, they're fucking with you. I don't know why you would attempt to do that as a strength building exercise, but it is a very good hypertrophy workout. So for these, what you can do is you can go, you know, we're gonna still work with 10 rep sets, but you can go slightly heavier weight, only to about parallel, and likewise here, or you can go slightly heavier weight, slightly lighter weight, and go, you know, maybe a bit above in both. And really it just, I don't know, I feel like it works the muscles a little bit differently. It's a good little variation. I found it to be fairly effective. If you find that one way is better for you than another way, then do that. All right. That's a bit too narrow. There we go. Right there. Just the outside of the chest. 2, Hey, TSM, thank you very much. Yeah, I got a ways to go. I'm not where I want to be. I just got to keep working. Got one more set of skull crushers. Got one more set of skull crushers and one more set of raises. Superset, I should say. This is really 2 sets combined. Nah, it's easier doing this with both. Well, it's not easier, it's better. Two. Oh, shoulders are on fire. That's awesome. Six. 7. 8. 9. Come on. 10. Oh, shoulders are feeling it. That feels great. Hey, thank you very much for the 3 stream streak, my man. I appreciate that. Y'all, if you want those rewards points, just keep watching. You get them pretty quick. All right, so let's see what else we got. So let's see here. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 34. Okay, all right. Yeah, the floor press is over. Ah, that did not feel good. Ah, I stepped on the power block and it rolled over onto my foot. Ouchie. Whew, that did not feel good. Ah. Whew. Okay, so we got one more set of skull crushers. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit Arnold presses, which is an optional extra, but I'm gonna do them because I like Arnold presses. Really give you that shoulder hypertrophy. Arnold presses, triceps. Actually, no, I'll do triceps extensions because that's what the program says to do. I'll do all the optional stuff at the end. So we'll do triceps extensions, then Arnold press, and then floor press. The floor press, I will not do at heavy weight. Like, it'll be at very lightweight because I haven't ever done it, but I've been looking into the way my bench press activates and the way it locks out. And what I found is I can get a lot more weight to here, but I have trouble getting it from here up. And the floor press is supposed to remedy that. But, right, so floor press is supposed to be done way later in the program when you're at your peaking phase. But I think it would value me to start doing it now because I've never done it. So if I do it with really light weight now, I can work out the kinks on form and approach it a little bit harder later in the program. So, it's mostly, it'll be, I'll do it with 125 or something really light. But it'll be really useful for me to figure out, okay, where do I want my elbows placed? How does it feel? How slow do I want to do it? Where do I want my, grip? Do I want it to be conventional bench grip? Do I want it to be narrower? Do I want it to be wider? All that stuff. Hey, I found good to see you. So we got one more set of skull crushers first. Yeah, it is still well below 40 degrees in here. Best advice, unfamiliar stuff with lower weight. Exactly. Right, floor press I'm not supposed to be doing until the peaking phase, but if I don't learn how to do it now, I go into the peaking phase, it's going to be completely useless because I'm going to need weeks to figure out how to do it. So if I learn how to do it now, I'm going to be a lot better when I, go to do it for actual gain later. So I'd rather do the newbie stuff now, because it's at the end of my workout. Yeah, I'm going to be tired, but if I do it with really light weight, it's not going to be too bad. It's about learning the form. But this is the kind of thing, right? I've been lifting for 15 years. There are still workouts and exercises I'm unfamiliar with and have to learn. Never ever stop learning. All right, 2, 3. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nice. All right. So as a replacement for cable pushdowns, we're gonna do reverse extensions. You do realize we don't actually count as a spotter in the present time period and can't help to prevent injuries. We're right, but this is a skull crusher. So this may look like heavyweight, it's not. That's only 115 pounds. For me, that's not too bad. And with a skull crusher, if something, God forbid, tears, you can just push it behind and over your head and it'll fall. Obviously that's not ideal, you don't want to do that, but you're not supposed to be doing skull crushers with weight where you're probably going to fail. Nobody sits there and does skull crushers for a 1 rep max. Again, that is a bodybuilding workout, right? When you're skull crushing, the idea is, right, pretend I'm laying down. The idea is to pretty much isolate and really minimize the amount that your shoulders are moving, right? You really just want to hit your elbows. Some of y'all may have noticed my elbows kind of bowed out a little bit on that skull crusher. And unfortunately, that is a natural reality of doing it with a straight bar. If I had an easy bar in this gym, like a curling bar that one might do preacher curls on, my hand placement would be a bit more natural and that wouldn't occur quite as much. Unfortunately, I don't have that. So you gotta make do with what you've got. God damn it. My phone is trolling me today. Fucking automatically cueing Buddy Holly by Weezer. Ooh, ooh, I look just like Buddy Holly. God damn it. Well, man, I gotta go play some fucking Slayer or Anthrax now, because like, you fucking hear Buddy Holly, it instantly like, it is an unserious song. Fucking phone trolling me with Weezer. A curling bar. When I say curling bar, well, what I mean is an easy bar. Yeah, it's the one that kind of goes like that, where it's like kind of it bends a little bit. Yeah. Okay, I can't do this. Get out of my music here, Weezer. I don't need you, Weezer. Why do they call it easy? I actually don't know. I just know that's what it's called. Fucking Weezer. Let's go with I Don't Want to Stop by Ozzy Osbourne. Why should lifting be serious? Well, because if you laugh, you're gonna have a harder time, staying intense and focused and in the zone. It's about the distribution of the weight. Well, okay, so for like preacher curls, if you're doing preacher curls and you're on, right, so what is a preacher curl? Preacher curl is where you're sitting on, it's a chair and then there's a pad that's sort of shaped like a hump and you put your hands on it and you curl like this. And what the easy bar does, instead of having it as a straight bar, this is it's kind of an awkward position. The easy bar allows you to grip it like this. And when you grip it like this, it's a little bit more natural. It's like halfway to a hammer curl. I think that's what the idea is behind it. But FM, lifting should be semi-serious because, again, if you bust out laughing in the middle of a set, you're probably not going to complete that set as with the intensity and the form you should. All right. I think that's, the general idea. No, why is it called an easy bar? I don't know. That's a good question. Oh. That's good. We'll do 3 more sets of that. So you have to have a chair with a pad and there's a hump, preacher curls, lap dances. It's funny. Smart ass. We'll move the weight around up here, set it up for floor press a little bit later. That's going to be interesting. I've never done floor press, so never a better time to learn. All my life I've been over the top. I don't know what I'm doing. All I know is I don't want to stop. Now I've heard with floor press is that some people say you want your knees bent, and some people say you want them straight. I don't know. Well, I think the idea is you'd isolate your triceps away from, I would think you'd want them straight because if you do that, it's going to isolate your triceps away from, I think I probably want a little bit lower than that actually. There we go. It's going to isolate your triceps from leg drive, which is kind of, leg drive isn't bad per se, but yeah, that's perfect. What you want to do is, the whole point of a floor press is to really work that lockout, and if you don't give yourself leg drive in the set, it's going to help later, right? When you do have that leg drive, all of a sudden it makes it a lot easier. So we're throwing plates here. We're not going to do this right now. But this will be a little bit. We're just gonna try it. I don't have any experience with floor press, but we gotta learn. Videos or image of bodybuilders with those weights, say in the 1910s. The bar literally bends while the weights drop down. Dude, some of those old-fashioned videos are nuts. Some of those guys were doing that shit in suits and like shirts and ties too, which is insane to me. You imagine wearing a necktie while working out? Ugh. Here we go. Okay, easy. That's better. That's good. 2 more of those. We'll also do 2 sets of Arnold press because, well, frankly, I like Arnold press. It's not necessary. It's extra volume. I think it's just because of the nature of my normal cut cycle workouts. Like, normal nature of my cut cycle workouts is 30 sets, which is a lot. I know most lifters tend to not go that high volume, but I enjoy it. It feels like I get a pretty good aesthetic from it. So, you know, I kind of stick with that. And, you know, while at one line of thinking is, well, what got you here isn't going to get you where you're going. That's true. You know, I don't feel satisfied exiting a workout where everything was easy. Unless it's like a dedicated deload day. But I'm not going to fucking deload in effect for 12 weeks. I'm not going to do that. Or 9 weeks, excuse me. I'm not doing that. Right, this is not for some powerlifting competition. The truth is, if I don't deadlift 500, like, I'm not going to, you know, it's not the end of the world. If I don't do it, I don't do it. But I just want to see how far I can get along. So, I weighed in, I've been weighing in on my scale, say usually between 17 and 19% body fat. I'm guessing I'm not too much above 20. I would probably say 20 is probably pretty accurate. Maybe not quite 20. Honestly, 18 and 19, it seems accurate. For those of you who didn't know, I will probably be, what I might do, since I'm going upstate this week for a work trip. One, I think I might get myself a massage up there because I could use one. Boy, that just sounds really nice. But the other is that a lot of cities now have really nice high-end body fat testing machines, and I would love to see what my actual body fat percentage is, because that electroimpedance scale, like, electroimpedance scales are only useful insofar as if the overall number trends down or trends up, you're losing or gaining body fat, but the actual number is not particularly accurate. Arnold Press feels like a missed opportunity for Schwarzenegger to release his own line of coffee makers or panini makers. I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger needs another business opportunity. Did you see he recently got detained in, I think it was Germany, for not declaring his watch as a taxable item or something stupid like that. It's the dumbest. And then he ended up auctioning it off to raise money for climate change, which is just badass as hell. I fucking love Arnold. Like, I don't get the people who look at Arnold Schwarzenegger and say, and hate on him. It's like, this is a dude who immigrated over here, penniless from Austria, fucking, became the, ultimate champion bodybuilder, got bored of winning so much, so he became a movie star instead, even though people said, oh, with that accent, you'll never become a movie star. He basically, like, between Arnold and Sly Stallone, those two basically pioneered the action movie hero in the 80s. So it's just like, and then, if that wasn't enough, Blood goes and runs for governor of California just because he can. Whether or not you think he did good or not as governor of California, I'm not going to go there because I'm not from California. I don't know the politics, but the fact that he did all of that, like, that's just, like, fucking, that's just Giga Chad material, just living your best life, you know? That's fully meeting your potential. I respect it. Even now at 75, like, he's going out and doing, you know, all sorts of charity stuff. He's going, again, Arnold Schwarzenegger is the rare Republican who gives a shit about climate change, so I don't know. I got a lot of respect for the guy. Anyway, let's go. Let's go for a little Ozzy Osbourne here. Someone attacking Her Majesty's Royal Guard. I'm guessing this person fucked around and then found out really quickly. Sounds like that's what happened. No, don't attack the Royal Guard. Apart from maybe the Swiss Guard that protect the Pope, you're not going to find stronger, better trained guardsmen. Maybe the Secret Service in the US. I lived there during the governor years. Not agree with all his decisions, but he was much better than many governors. I mean, you know, you got to remember, he was replacing Gray Davis, who had all sorts of problems in office. So, he hadn't been that bad. All right, we got one more set of this. Then we've got Arnold Press. Just to address it doesn't mean they won't fuck you up, they will shoot you, yeah. Again, that's what I call a Darwin Award. If you're dumb enough not to realize the consequences of your own actions, I think, you know, the gene pool of humanity is better off without you. I watch other dropouts who make their own rules. Come on. 1, 2, 3. Nice. All right. That's the final triceps extension. So this is all bonus stuff that I didn't pick the right weight. There we go. This is all extra stuff that isn't technically in the program, but I got extra gas in the tank. And I like Arnold presses, so I'm doing them. I feel like I get a really good workout in the shoulders. And since my shoulders are my weak point anyway, I feel like I need to train them a little bit harder, a little bit more intensely. So I got 4 sets of this, and then we're gonna attempt to do floor press, just because I haven't ever done it before. Floor press, we're gonna do a very lightweight, just to learn the form. But Arnold press, I know what I'm doing, so I can go a little heavier. Come on. Oh. Ooh, that's tough. Ah, yeah, baby. I think I'm gonna get into 40s. This is for hypertrophy. I don't really want to jack up my shoulders this late into it. I felt good, but I actually technically lived in California during the Arnold years for actually about 10 months. My dad was stationed in the greater LA area, but I was too young. I mean, I was 10 years old then, so I didn't know a whole lot about politics at that time. Apart from, all I knew about Arnold then was he was the guy who did, "Put that cookie down! Now!"
I'll just play differently to them, of course.
Water could get involved at all. The strangeness that is still having a living monarchy in action. Being written into the Constitution, not going to find justice for being attacked by a royal guard if you fuck around with the monarchies. They're even powers to restrict information flow to the media. It is a promising that they negatively the image of the crown. Right, yeah, because y'all are a constitutional monarchy. And frankly, again, look, if you fuck with the royal guard, why would you even want to do that? What possible reason would you have? Like that's just see that's British culture. Now, me personally, I think it's quite funny when someone throws a shoe at the president, even if it's a president I like, which in the instance of Bush the younger certainly was not the case. But if you do that to the royal guard, yeah, they're gonna beat your ass up. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and that is an incredibly stupid prize. All right. Let's go. I got 3 more sets of Arnold press, and then we'll try floor press. People keep pinging me on Discord. I'm like, bro, I'm live right now. Can you not see the little purple icon next to my logo? He did dodge that shoe like a champ. Bush did. I kind of wish the shoe had connected. Frankly, it's the worst He is the worst president the United States has had since Woodrow Wilson. Everybody says, what about Donald Trump? No. Donald Trump is nowhere near as bad as Bush II was. I will 100% argue on that point. The very simple answer, why, is Iraq. The war in Iraq is probably the single biggest foreign policy blunder the United States has had in the last 70 years. All right, what else we got? Let's throw on, ooh, that's a good song. Nixon and Reagan were pretty bad. I actually think Nixon was a better president than most. You gotta remember, a lot of really important stuff happened under Nixon's administration. The Environmental Protection Agency was a Nixon creation. Nixon actually wanted to create a universal healthcare system and single payer in 1974, but because at that point everybody was so focused, wrapped around the axle on Watergate, it never came through. Nixon got us out of Vietnam. May not have been pretty, but he did it. Remember, Nixon didn't start the Vietnam War. Nixon opened up China. There were a lot of benefits to what Nixon's administration did. Now, am I saying he was a perfect president? Absolutely not. I think people like to point to Watergate and use that to negate all the very important things that Nixon did under his presidency. You gotta remember, in 1968, due to the Sino-Soviet split, you had the distinct possibility of a nuclear war occurring between two powers that the United States was not involved in. That is a horrendous fate for the world. Nixon was in Kaiser Permanente's pocket. Fam, I'm just saying, it's the same thing. Carter also tried to get single-payer health care rolling, but the Democrats were the ones that stopped it under Ted Kennedy because Ted Kennedy was a vainglorious bastard. Because of that and other policy failures under Carter, Reagan got absolutely swept into the office in 1980. The Democratic Party of the late 1970s badly miscalculated on where America was. Carter got hamstringed by the left wing in his own party. One, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. Left winger in the pockets of the base. I'm talking about, this is the late 70s, but frankly, in my opinion, the best presidents of the 20th century were Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt, and George H.W. Bush. The worst were Woodrow Wilson, Woodrow Wilson, Woodrow Wilson, and Woodrow Wilson. LBJ was pretty poor too. I really don't like Woodrow Wilson. And here's just a little thing about Woodrow Wilson people don't realize too. His childhood home's over across the river in Augusta, and it's part of why he was such a virulent fucking racist. Woodrow Wilson basically reanimated the Ku Klux Klan in the United States. He was a champion of the lost cause myth. He was responsible for segregating the United States government workforce. So the reason black people couldn't get government positions through much of the 20th century, that was Wilson. Prohibition, Woodrow Wilson. Being actually fucking incapacitated for 2 years of his presidency, Woodrow Wilson. Failing to get involved in World War I quickly enough to avoid the communist revolution, Woodrow Wilson. I'm telling you, if we had I can't imagine the kind of motherfucker that existed in 1912 was able to elect the Giga Chad of all Giga Chad presidents, Theodore Roosevelt, and decided, no, I'm gonna pick this absolutely horrible racist douchebag from Princeton instead. Like, what the fuck? Man, Theodore Roosevelt grew up sickly with asthma, took up boxing to stop getting bullied, and would just, like, he didn't have to go to San Juan Hill. He just chose to fucking do it anyway. This dude went on fucking excursions and safaris for fun. Like that, the nuts on fucking Theodore Roosevelt, man, next fucking level. The man wrote one of my favorite speeches of all time, too, which is, it's called The Strenuous Life. And it's about embracing hardship to make yourself a tougher person. And when we all do that, we become a stronger society. And I believe very, very strongly in that philosophy. So, like, you look at this, in 1912, you have the perhaps possibly most based president we've ever had, a fatty and a racist. Why would you ever vote for the fatty or the racist? By the way, that is my first primary reason above all others that I would not vote for Donald Trump. He's fat. I don't want any fatties in the White House. Look, the odds on a fat guy at 78 years old who eats nothing but goddamn McDonald's and KFC living for 4 more years in the world's most strenuous job position just aren't that high. And when presidents die, it's bad for a nation's stability. I don't want that. Come on. Oh, God. I think I lost count there. That might not have been 10. It was either... Oh, God. My triceps are screaming at me, which is good. We do better. Why we aren't is beyond me. Well, the Democratic Party is incompetent, and the Republican Party isn't. The Republican Party is spineless, the Democratic Party is incompetent. What I'm really amazed by is that, look, if you're going to go with Biden again in 2024, why the fuck wouldn't you at least pull an FDR and replace the vice president? So that way, you know, in the fairly high likelihood that Biden kicks the bucket if reelected, you have a better backup option. I mean, that is blindingly obvious. It's like the Democrats are trying to lose. Nah. I'd say the Republicans are spineless. No, there are very few Republicans actually willing to stand up to Donald Trump, which is just sad. I'm not saying everything Donald Trump does is wrong, but, like, there's only one way to defeat a schoolyard bully like that, and that's to stand the fuck up to him. Again, biggest reason I disrespect Donald Trump is because he's fat. Man, the man eats like the worst diet known to man. I'm fucking shocked he's not dead. There's nothing to do. It has nothing to do. We can talk policy all day long. My biggest reason for not voting for Donald Trump is because he eats like crap and he's not morbidly obese, but he eats like a morbidly obese person does. That's a recipe for disaster in the world's most stressful job. Frankly, again, if the Democratic Party really wishes to stick with Biden, they need to replace Kamala with literally anybody else more competent. It's not hard. Just shit can Kamala. There's historical precedent. FDR did this multiple times in the 30s and 40s. You don't have to stick with the same VP. I mean, like, seriously, that seems like the most patently obvious thing to do to increase your poll numbers immensely. Since, frankly, God. At this point, Biden, we're too far along into the election cycle for Biden to say, yo, I'm not running again. I mean, he could, but what that's going to do is create a 1968 kind of scenario where the Democratic Party falls into a mess very, very quickly. And that's going to guarantee a Republican win, like it did in 1968. So I'm surprised that Kamala polls really well. I don't think she does. I don't know what polls you're looking at, but every poll I've seen, Kamala polls even worse than Biden does. That's what I'm saying. Nobody I know likes Kamala Harris. Nobody on the left, nobody in the center, and, well, obviously nobody on the right. All right, last set. Their Congress House is allowed to be so biased. Over here, they're not allowed to be when they vote. Put a motion in favor of preventing deviation from the norm. Hey, we're Americans. We've been through worse. We'll get over it. Like, until I started out reading her history as a DA. Bingo. And you've touched on pretty much the single biggest reason almost all progressives can't stand her. I don't like her because she can't speak in coherent sentences. But, you know, nor can Biden or Trump for that matter. Like, seriously, there have been Kamala Harris speeches where I've listened to her and I wonder if the teleprompter is broken. That's how bad it is. She is almost as incoherent as Biden when ad-libbing. And the difference is Biden is in his 80s. At least it somewhat makes sense. I don't know what's going on in Kamala's head. Who put them into power? Voters should be blamed. Yeah, honestly. We've got better options. We just choose not to use them. Unfortunately, as far as third parties are concerned, well, RFK Jr. is a non-starter for me. Look, I'm a nuclear engineer, and RFK Jr. is strongly anti-nuclear power, so that's a no-go. The Green Party can fuck right off for the exact same reason. The United States Green Party is a bunch of hypocritical assholes who can't see their own way out of a paper bag. The Libertarian Party is unserious. Frankly, I think the Libertarian Party could actually kill it if they stopped nominating extremists, but they're not going to do that. Oh, Trump's not going to. So, okay. Here's my little take on this. If Biden runs again with Kamala and it's against Trump, Biden wins. Sorry, Trump wins. Excuse me. If Biden picks a better vice president and runs against Trump, Biden wins. If any other Republican gets nominated besides Trump, I think that Republican wins. I don't care if it's DeSantis. I don't care if it's Nikki Haley. Vivek dropped out, but if it's right now, it seems like DeSantis and Haley are the two other semi-credible options. If either DeSantis or Haley gets nominated, they will absolutely crush Biden in an election. But Trump is too polarizing. I don't think he'll get enough of the center to win unless Biden continues with Harris. If the economy tanks, Trump wins. I don't think the economy's going to tank. Some of her speeches when she was running were good. Speeches were BS and her track record as a DA in California. So Kamala Harris has had her big duty these last 4 years has been immigration, and she has failed really badly at it. For those of you who want to say, the sanctuary cities and all that, the state of Texas sent just a tiny fraction of the mess it has on its southern border to New York City, Chicago, and Boston, and the mayors of those cities melted down. Which tells me, there are real problems at the southern border right now, and Kamala's strategy so far has been to bury her head in the sand, and that's really just shocking. I'm fairly pro-immigration, but no, the current system doesn't work. The DeSantis win would be terrifying. I think DeSantis would win, though. I'm saying, if DeSantis runs against Biden, I think DeSantis wins. If Haley runs against Biden, I think Haley wins. If Trump wins against Biden, it's much less of a sure thing. Frankly, that's the Democrats' position, not just Kamala's. Yes, unfortunately, you're right. I think, with the exception of some Southwestern Democrats, most Democrats in the states bordering Mexico have semi-saner positions. Okay, maybe not California, but California's lost the plot entirely. Ugh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I really just don't get why Biden wouldn't take a different VP like FDR did. I want to move to San Diego so bad. This stint in Montana. Yeah. I'm just telling you, the problems at the border are very real, and the Democratic position so far has been to pretend it's not a problem, that's not smart. Meanwhile, you're up in Little House on the Prairie, but I will say, it is incredibly beautiful up there. Just extremely cold. Too cold for my likes. Speaking of, it is, hey, I think we've finally gotten over 40 degrees in here. I gotta use the bathroom one more time, then we're gonna try floor press. Give me one moment. By the way, one other thing about Florida. As much as people don't like DeSantis, I would like to point out that Florida, due to embracing a public-private partnership in the form of Brightline, has produced more high-speed rail than California has at a fraction of the price. Just pointing that one out there. Do I think DeSantis has done a good job in Florida? Probably not, but is he worst possible option here? No, I don't think so.
All right, wouldn't be so bad if we were living extremely thermally. Frugally, thermos set to 50, we don't use the dishwasher or dryer. Okay, that's a bit extreme. I would recommend using the dishwasher on the basis that you actually use more water hand washing dishes than using the dishwasher. There's actually been studies done on that. It's more frugal to use the dishwasher, so I would say use the dishwasher. It's there for a reason. All right. Last set, we're gonna try floor press here. I've never done this before. And for this one, I'm actually, I'll just lay this here. Let's see if this works. I'm gonna have to get down. Takes forever to, yeah, no. The time value of your money is enough to where you should use the dishwasher. Look, okay, Big A Mikey, if your roommates are protesting on that one, tell them I save 82% of my income, live on less than $20,000 a year, and I use my dishwasher. And if I do it, you can do it too. You have my official permission as frugal asshole of Twitch to use the dishwasher. That's a little extreme, and in fact, it's penny wise and pound foolish. All right, so floor press. The idea here is really simple. What we're trying to do, I need to scoot down a bit. We want to really focus, right, just on hitting the triceps. That's the goal here. So you come down, right? A floor press, clearly, you're not going to have the bar get all the way to your chest. You're just coming to the floor and up. Try at a different angle, see which feels the best. 6. No, I don't like that. No, gotta keep the elbows tucked a little bit further down. 7. That's better anyway, it hits the triceps more. 10. Okay. So I could probably stand to get a little bit further back. Secure holdings at borders are completely the way forward. Yeah. Well, right. One of the other issues is we need to start working on the root cause of why we're getting that much immigration at the southern border. And the answer is that we have a very poor Latin American policy. We need to improve relations with countries in Latin America to stem the tide of immigration. A lot of these Latin American countries don't want to see this many people exiting for the United States. It hurts their economies as well. The problem is that in some cases we've got openly malicious dictatorships. A very large percentage of the people fleeing for the United States are Venezuelans because Venezuela is run by a corrupt tin pot dictator. But the other part of it is we need to have a better relationship with Mexico. If we do, the Mexicans are going to help us at the southern border. We do need to help the economy south of the border. Frankly, Mexico, a strong Mexico is good for the United States. We want a strong Mexico. Frankly, because they could be the industrial powerhouse at a wage level competitive with the Chinese, which we can reduce our dependence on importing Chinese goods, which is a good thing. Well, okay. So we need to let the Mexicans fight the cartels. We can't do that for them. But the best way to do that is, first off, reducing drug usage. Legalizing cannabis is the easiest route to do that because that cuts off one of many different options for the cartels to make money from. But the simplest answer is, let's see here, didn't Ecuador go full metal with that? America does like to coup countries in Central and Southern America, and that needs to stop. Oh, we haven't really done that since 1989, but, you know, ultimately, right, you gotta remember, especially with the Cold War era, as bad as that was, take a look at what the Soviet Union was doing back then, too. It doesn't justify our actions, but it explains them. I can promise you a whole lot better without it. Another one, I would say, right, let's take our policy with Cuba.
There is no reason we need to continue an animosity relationship with the Cubans. Castroism is dumb. Communism is dumb as well. But they're entitled to be communist if they want to be. I think it's a really stupid idea. But continuing the Cuban embargo when they haven't been a serious threat to us since 1991 is idiotic. It makes us look bad. And frankly, there's no reason we should have Gitmo in Cuba either at this point. That's not even an effective place to put it. As far as I'm concerned, let's build some American jobs, put fucking prison in, the most podunk, underserved, impoverished parts of West Virginia, since they need the money anyway, and let the fucking rednecks guard it. I'm telling you. Ain't nobody fucking escaping that shit. If they do, they're gonna get absolutely butchered. Like, seriously, I'm telling you, move Gitmo to West Virginia. That's what I think. Alright, let's try a second set of this. It felt pretty easy, so I'm gonna go up to 175, just to kind of practice it a little bit more. Really fighting the army now. I'm just telling you, look, Gitmo represents an opportunity to create jobs and repair our relationship with Cuba. Also, I would be down to put a baseball team in Havana just because I think it would be fun to watch. I'm telling you, baseball is the ultimate tool of diplomacy between us and Latin America. We need to embrace it. Oh, all right. Let's go here. That's not too bad. Mexico won't be prosperous until they're free from the cartels. Yeah, no, the Mexican army is, you gotta remember, right, if we go in there and we help on the side of the army, we can be seen as the imperialist aggressors. We don't need to do that, right? We don't need to. We need to let the Mexicans solve this one themselves. The best way we can do that is to reduce demand for the things the cartels sell. The first and easiest way to do that is federally decriminalize cannabis. That one's very easy. Oh, it's 100% that's a multi-pronged issue. But frankly, this is the issue we need to be focusing on a lot more than any of the nonsense in the Middle East. Frankly, it's not our fight, especially this Israel and Hamas thing. That's not our problem. Let the Israelis solve it. They're more than capable of handling the idiots in Hamas on their own. Now, the Houthi rebels in Yemen, no, we need to be in on that one because that's preventing a major trade route for global shipping, which is going to destabilize the economies of, in particular, Egypt, because the Egyptian economy depends on that Suez Canal money. And you've got Houthi rebels shooting out boats in the Red Sea. That's a really good way to shoot that down. We don't want unstable Egypt. An unstable Egypt is a much bigger deal than an unstable Gaza, because Egypt is much bigger. Legalizing drugs simultaneously increases social problems. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Tax the fuck out of them. Need to be less the world police. I agree with Trump on that. Yeah, honestly, I agree. There's only one other country that's taken its defense contributions to NATO seriously over the last 10, 15 years, and that's Poland. Because Poland's seen some shit and it's, they're ready. We need, especially with Ukraine. Ukraine is primarily a European problem, and the European nations need to step up. Right? You can't bitch about how we Americans do things and then say, oh, big daddy America, come help us. Ukraine is getting bullied by the Russians. You can't have your cake and eat it too, right? Because I get real tired of uppity Europeans shit-talking my country and then begging for us to help whenever something goes wrong. And you and most Europeans, you know what I'm talking about. Force of hardcore Western extractive capital and should be free to go their own way. I mean, they are, but lesbian hot sauce, the hardest core extractive capital in the developing nations, particularly in Africa, these days is coming from Beijing. The extractive, all these African countries are selling most of their mineral and oil wealth to Chinese conglomerates. It's not the United States, and it's mostly not Western Europe. Obviously, Niger and parts of what used to be French Western Africa are still getting dominated by the French, and that's pretty despicable, but that's not our problem here in the States. That's something you Europeans need to figure out. EU is spineless, they buy Russian gas. Well, the Germans are spineless and buy Russian gas. Actually, credit where it's due to the French, although a lot of their uranium they buy, or rather extract from Niger. They need to be doing that from Canada instead in the United States. But that requires us to relax our ridiculous environmental laws when it comes to uranium mining, but that's a whole nother conversation. We need to drastically increase uranium production in this country, but that requires that requires a little bit of mining reform. But yeah, as far as developing countries, the Chinese are doing a lot of damage right now on that one. All right, here we go. Oh. All right, I'm gonna try this one with my knees bent up, see if I like it any better. I guess this is probably blocking your view of the bar, isn't it? I don't like it as much. I feel like I'm having to work my triceps a lot harder this way. See, it is nice. It's like a half press. It's really just focusing on the lockout. It's nice. I kind of dig that. Like what's Russia? Well, and even more than Russia these days, Wagner. Not even Russia. Although, what is Wagner but a Russian puppet group? Although, it is funny. The second Prigozhin stepped out of line, Putin had him whacked. And then trying to blame the Ukrainians, it was just like, it was the most patently obvious lie. It's like, come on, nobody's believing you on this one. BR project is problematic. These about 20% of international finance with the IMF and World Bank loads to offload, extractive, and literally kill people. So, there's two schools of thought on this. One is that, you know, some people, I've heard people say like direct aid can actually warp and damage economies. Like for instance, a lot of the clothes donations that go across to Africa and Southeast Asia kills off a lot of the cottage industries of people making their own clothes over there because they can't compete because it's literally being given for free. So, but on the other hand, you know, you want people to have clothes. So what do? This is one where I don't have a lot of knowledge on, so I don't know. Personally, another country I would love to see us get some better ties with is Argentina. I think, frankly, I think Malai could be exactly what that country needs. Really, while I don't agree with everything Malai is saying, anything at this point is a better step up than Peronism, which is most of the anti-Malai groups at this point are Peronists who just don't like not being in power. And Peronism is what put Argentina in their current position. You see, UK leaving the Court of Human Rights. I will say, the United Kingdom trying to separate itself from the EU was an incredibly stupid idea, in my opinion. Brexit did not help the UK. It's not going to help the UK. It's just going to make the UK more irrelevant, if you ask me. A Europe in which Britain is a proud and strong part is a better Europe, and frankly, I think a better Britain too. I work with BPOs in South America. It was such a better experience than working with them in India and China. Interesting. That's interesting information. The aid trap is a little complex. It takes a lot of prior reading to understand, but essentially they're not great options for international finance to grow domestic market. They're not extractive at the moment. See, that's very good information, because this is the question, right? It's obviously we want third world or developing nations to continue to grow, but how do we best do that? You know, every option has its problems. Every option has its flaws. So I'm gonna do one last set here, and then we're gonna probably wrap up. Let's try a little Godzilla by Blue Oyster Cult. Because it's getting close to noon. I got other stuff to do. Oh! So this is 225. Now I can rep this for sets of 10 very easily on bench. So we'll see how this feels. But I'm feeling I'm getting more comfortable with it. I feel like a little tuck, but you know, I don't want it here, but I don't want it here either. So really want to work on triceps. Two. 4. 5. 6. 8. 9. 10. Oh, woo, that was tough at the end there. I like that. I'm gonna have to work a little bit more on floor press. I don't feel like my form was perfect there, but it wasn't bad to get used to it. You're saying this, Americans, the EU isn't Europe. Well, the EU is most of Europe. I mean, yeah, Switzerland, Norway, Iceland, several small Balkan countries, Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia are not in the EU, but the rest of Europe is in the EU. So, I mean, sort of. I'm just saying, I personally think, and this is partially as an American, right? As an American, a strong EU is a great ally for us, and a strong Britain is a great ally for us. But I think Britain and the EU are made stronger by working with each other and being part of each other. Just my opinion. Also because, well, if you're British, one of the things you really want to do is keep Scotland, and the Scots wanted to stay in the EU. So I'm not really sure why you'd want to, you know, why tempt fate with the Scots there, you know? Yeah, I need to get an Allen wrench out. The bolts on this bench are starting to wobble and get a little bit loose. All right, so that's the end of the workout here. Let's do a little Q&A. It is really fucking cold in here still. So let's say that was 125, 175, 175, and 225. It felt pretty easy, except for that last set. That got a little bit harder. Then we did protein, 380. 64, 7, and 17. But, you know, again, it shouldn't be very surprising to y'all that I prefer European integration because as a dirty, evil, capitalist investor class kind of guy, a stronger EU means better returns on investment for me. It is a political union in which sovereign nation states are a part. I agree. And I'm not saying, you know, the EU is not Europe, but the EU is a very large chunk of Europe at this point in terms of, you know, what countries are EU members. Okay, I feel like this is a semantics argument here, but fair enough. Before we look to raid, that's probably what I'm going to do next because we've reached the end of the show. Do we have any Q&As about really anything? You know, diet, exercise, anything like that? God, I'm hoping tomorrow's warmer. It's fucking cold in here. And the fact that I'm still cold after working this, you know, this much volume kind of tells me everything I need to know. It is, 35 outside. It's probably just about 40 in here. That's Fahrenheit. 35 is, I think, 2 degrees C, and 40 is about 4 degrees C. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably put, I'm not that cold, but I'm also not warm either. See, tomorrow is gonna be about the same. Shit. And then Monday's going to be a little bit warmer. I was going to get back up into the 70s. That'll be nice. How much does red meat factor in your diet? That depends. Do you consider pork red meat? Because I eat a lot of pork and not all that much beef. The simple reason for that is because, well, I live in South Carolina, and here in South Carolina, we raise a lot of pork and we don't raise a lot of cattle. Most of the cattle producing states in the United States are that line of Great Plains states in the center of the country: Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Texas, Wyoming, Montana, and the Dakotas. Some people say pork is red meat, some people say pork is white meat. The point is, I eat a lot of pork. I eat a lot of turkey, I eat a lot of chicken, I eat a fair amount of fish and shellfish. I love eggs. I drink probably more milk than... I'll tell you what, that's where I think my genetic ancestors would be the most proud of me. On my bulk cycle, I will happily drink multiple liters of milk a day, like 2 to 4 liters of milk easily a day. Like, I can knock down a gallon of this stuff. I don't eat veal. That's just wrong. I can't do it. Something about eating veal or lamb just doesn't sit right with me. Mutton? Oh yeah, sure. Beef? Yes. But really, around here, I eat pork because pork is cheap. It's that simple. You can raise hogs really well here in the Carolinas. That's why, South Carolina style barbecue is shredded pulled pork. And hash, which is all the meat that doesn't make it into barbecue pulled pork, combined with a sauce. It turns into kind of a meat gravy, and you serve it over rice. And I know it doesn't sound appealing, but oh, it's so good. Oh, venison. Yes, venison is very good for you. Venison is very lean, but it is red meat. But no, I don't eat veal. There's no quantitative reason to not eat veal, but it just feels icky to me. It just feels wrong. I don't want to eat a baby cow. I don't care how tender it is. It just feels, it makes me shudder. I don't like the thought of it. And I know it's like, oh, but what's okay with eating an adult cow? Look, fuck off. It's somehow better. I don't know why. Eating veal makes me feel like I'm a shitty person. But no, venison is actually I think that's a good thing, not only to eat, but around here, there is a very large deer population. So where I work is a federal nuclear site, but because of that, right, development is very limited. You have your pockets where the nuclear components actually are, but the rest of it is completely wooded area. So you have a lot of deer, to the point where the deer often breed too much and overpopulate, and if we don't cull them, they starve themselves, and that's equally bad. So if you cull the population, let local hunters go and hunt, it gives a stable, sustainable, environmentally friendly meat supply, and it lets a bunch of rednecks fire their guns, which is always a good thing. Yeehaw. Look, this is rural America. People are going to shoot their guns regardless. You might as well have them doing something productive with them. Just checked YouGov. Kamala's polling at 45. Really? Yeah. Who the fuck likes her? I'm a centrist, right? I don't know any centrists that like her. I don't know any progressives that like her, and I definitely don't know any conservatives that like her. Roadkill chili. Now we're talking some West Virginia cuisine right there, Kentucky cuisine. You ever heard of burgoo? That's Kentucky right there for you. Yeah, lesbian hot sauce. I gotta agree. Who the fuck likes Kamala? I don't. Who does she appeal to apart from the absolute lowest of the low common denominator that say, oh, she's a woman, therefore I like her. Oh, she's a minority, therefore I like her. I just don't think there are that many people that stupid. Because it's not like there aren't other qualified women who could do that job. It's not like there aren't other qualified minorities that couldn't do that job, you know? Like if I was, obviously, privilege, I'm a white male, yada, yada. But, if I was a minority woman, I'd be like, shit, this is the first person who's representing us as a VP? God damn it. I'd be pissed off. I'd be like, no, we can do better than this. I don't know. that being said, okay, so let me talk a few things. So this was press day. Tomorrow, I'm gonna go ahead and unrack while I'm at it. Tomorrow normally would be a rest day, but because I'm going upstate for a business trip this week, I have to do my Tuesday and Wednesday workouts on Sunday and Monday. So tomorrow we're gonna be in here again. We're gonna be doing deadlifts. And I need to keep that on until I de-rack this side. Otherwise, the weight will tilt over, and then that's not good. So let's do that. By the way, let me give a shout out to Lesbian Hot Sauce because she does pretty cool shit. How's the workout plan been going for you, by the way? There we go. Yeah, deadlifting, that's gonna be tough. We're gonna do 4 sets of 5 on deadlift. Next, tomorrow, we'll do 4 sets of 5 on Romanians, 4 sets of 5 on Jeffersons, 4 sets of 5 on, 4 sets of 6 on those, and then 4 sets of 6 on good mornings, and then 4 sets of 10 on bent over rows. And we'll probably do some pull-ups too. I'm a minority woman, I like to. You're a minority? I don't know, you look pretty white to me, fam. At some pointless liberal take about their identity. It's okay, my autoimmune shit's a constant battle with exercise. At the moment I feel strong. Hell yeah. Well, hope you kick some ass today. There's a huge number of hitherto unrevealed Ralph Wiggums in America who've been duped into singing Kumbaya and voting for Kamala Harris. Okay, I think that's the quote of the day. Oh, you meant gay. Fair enough. Fair enough. I don't believe white privilege exists. Honestly, like when it comes to privilege, I think it's a lot more valuable to look at things from an income or a class-based perspective than a racial perspective. Okay, so now I live in the heart of the Deep South, where historically the racism was the strongest. Is there still racism issues here? Yes. Does institutional racism have strong effects on the current statistics regarding poverty, especially in the Deep South? Yes. Go to rural Alabama, go to rural Mississippi, like the Mississippi, Yazoo Delta, you'll understand where the legacy of racism still leads in the United States. However, things here are a whole lot better in 2023 than they ever have been. Things are getting better, and the people who constantly want to view everything within the lens of race are doing more harm than they are of good. Maybe minority means something else in American. Okay, so minority, when people say I'm a minority here, most of the time that is seen as racial. You can, absolutely, sexuality is a minority, LGBT is a minority, but most people, when you say I'm a minority in America, people think, most people will think that means you're black or Pacific Islander or American Indian or something like that. So you're not wrong, it's just that's not typically what somebody says. Because, technically, I'm part of that, but I wouldn't call myself a minority. No. You check statistics on poverty amongst white males in the UK, the worst group. Look at race groups, you got me doing it. It's intolerable. So, right. But there's a different legacy of racism in the UK versus the United States, right? We had Jim Crow here into the 1960s. My town has only been free of the Ku Klux Klan since 1984, okay? There is still progress to be made, especially here in the United States regarding race relations, but things are getting better. And I think people very quickly dismiss the optimism because things aren't perfect. And that bothers me. That being said, I think there is something to the fact that, especially in America, what's called the Rust Belt. In the UK, this is equivalent to your northern post-industrial cities, Birmingham, Manchester, Leeds, places like that. In the United States, that equates to cities like Cleveland, Detroit, Buffalo, and smaller cities like Youngstown, Akron, Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, Gary, Indiana. Places like this, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, they've seen declines in population, or, in the Appalachians, right? Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Pennsylvania, Altoona, Morgantown, West Virginia, Charleston, Beckley, cities like that are very strong majority white most of the time. Gary's mostly black, but most of the time, a lot of these Rust Belt cities are heavily white, but have been largely ignored by the government for the last 50 to 60 years. That's why there's a lot of resentment there. There's a reason West Virginia used to be a very, very blue state and is now a very, very red state, for instance. No, I agree it's intolerable. I don't normally spend a lot of time on identity politics, but it got brought up. So, yeah, it's just, I think the word minority is viewed slightly differently here across the pond, but that's okay. I mean, it would make sense. I mean, hell, we don't even spell color the same. You guys throw you in there for reasons that don't make sense to me. It's your language, right? Y'all invented English. It is literally called English, so you're probably the one spelling it right. But if we can misspell words just to irritate y'all, like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, da 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 da. I'm like, feel patriotic as fuck, you know? I'm gonna spell leader with ER just to irritate British people. Oh my god. Automod fucking Jesus Christ. Automod wanted to censor that. Get the fuck off of my chat, Twitch Automod. Get the fuck out of here. This is 18 plus. People can say like that. That's not offensive. Like Jesus Christ. Twitch. Never fucking change Twitch. But yeah, there's a really good Bruce Springsteen song, actually. It was released about 25, 30 years ago, called Youngstown. It's about the city of Youngstown, Ohio. For those of you who don't know, Youngstown is a small city outside, it's about halfway between Pittsburgh and Cleveland. And through the 1800s, it was one of the most prosperous cities in the world because it was a steel-producing city. And if you're in Britain, you probably understand this. There are a lot of cities, particularly in North England, that made countless amounts of steel that helped build the British Empire. In the same way, Youngstown and cities like it, Pittsburgh, Johnstown, Pennsylvania, Buffalo, New York, Cleveland, Ohio, Detroit, Michigan, these were the cities that powered the United States through winning the Civil War, becoming an empire, and winning both world wars. But a lot of those jobs in manufacturing started to move out after 1945, and the cities have never quite recovered. Some have. Pittsburgh has, for instance. Pittsburgh has switched mostly to a healthcare-based economy, and they're doing a lot better. But some cities haven't. Cleveland's had a rough time of it. The smaller cities, Youngstown, Akron, really had a hard time of it in the last 60 to 70 years. So it's tough. You got to figure out ways to fix that. West Virginia in particular, it's never been a rich state, but West Virginia's economy is almost 100% tied to coal mining, right? Well, coal usage is falling, and even if you wanted to bring back coal the way, for instance, Donald Trump wants to, that's not going to bring jobs back to West Virginia because nowadays we can mine coal for cheaper, and it's higher quality coal from Wyoming and Montana. Coal mining's never coming back to West Virginia. Never. So West Virginia has to find a new way to generate economic revenue because the coal mines aren't coming back. And it's the same way in a lot of northern English towns. Those coal mines that, maybe your great-grandfather worked in, and your grandfather worked in, and maybe even your father worked in, they're not coming back. You got to find something else. You can't remember, America, color came first as well as theater. America did the changing. Yes, we did the changing. And I'm not saying we're right, because it's y'all's language, therefore y'all are the correct ones, but I will happily deliberately spell it wrong to troll y'all. And that's American as fuck right there. Tell me, is Biden going to be actually running? It looks like it. I think it's a really stupid idea, but yeah, it looks like it. Which gave them the fairness of muddled by illegal immigrants. White males are worse off. Yeah. If so, why? Yo, Lab Boys, let's go. Give me a shout out for my homeboy Lab. Family was copper. America president was an Anaconda Copper Mine Company. That's really cool. Yo, my homie Lab Boys is out in Vegas right now. Was the fight last night? And if so, did you win? Speaking of cities I want no part of ever, I really dislike Las Vegas. My homie Lab Boys feels very differently, but I do not like Las Vegas at all. That city, the entire reason Las Vegas exists is a man by the name of Bugsy Siegel, who was a mafioso. He worked with the mafia. started building a town just outside of the jurisdiction of uh, any local authorities in Nevada that was as close to the Hoover Dam as he could make it. The reason he put it there was to take money out of the pockets of New Deal era workers building the Hoover Dam. That's where Las Vegas got its start. Now, fight is today, currently up 712. Let's go! Love to hear it, bro. Your great great uncle. There we go. I like Celine Dion, therefore I like Las Vegas. I don't really have much of a strong opinion on Celine Dion. Lab boys, I was shoulder pressing 180 for reps of 5 today, so I was pretty happy with that, using that as working weight. I'm trying floor press because I want to be better at my lockout on bench. Also, let me give some shout outs to chat because I was going to do that earlier and I forgot. I'm going to shout out Lesbian Hot Sauce and I'm going to shout out Big Game Mikey because you two are reliably in my audience. You two are also on Twitch and I like your shit. By the way, can we get a round of congratulations for my main man, Big Game Mikey? He got himself a job and it pays great. He's going to be making fat fucking stacks and I think it's a remote. Now it's a contract position if I understood that what we were talking about last night. But dude, congratulations. I'm so freaking proud of you. This guy, here's what I love about Big Game Mikey, man. He had a downturn in his industry as a product manager, right? And instead of boo-hooing and, looking to live off of welfare for the next 20 years, dude has been on Twitch streaming himself, learning fucking, was it Python and Java? Or what was, I don't know what the other one was, but you fucking learning all sorts of different coding languages to improve your marketability. I fucking love that. You're doing everything right, my guy. I'm super freaking proud of you, and I'm really, really happy you got that new opportunity. Yeah, Python, Java, and SQL. Oh, you're hungover unrelated. So I'm gonna give you a shout out. So, I'm really proud of that. Oh, I have to wait 44 more seconds before giving you a shout out. But either way, I'm really proud of that for you there, Mikey. It's not easy to retrain yourself, especially, if you've been working in an industry for 10, 15, 20 years. The fact that you were willing to do that shows you got gumption, it shows you got moxie, and you got everything to fucking succeed, and now you're succeeding. And I'm really, really happy for you, dog. So, that's me. I'm perpetual optimist, man, so I'm all about celebrating other people's victories, right? It's one of the things one of my favorite hockey players, Alexander Ovechkin, does. Alexander Ovechkin is the second highest on the all-time goal scoring list for the NHL, but he celebrates his teammates' goals harder than he celebrates his own. It's fantastic. That said, it is just about noon, so I think we're going to look to raid someone. The question is who? Ooh, I've got some options. Got Holder Heck. Oh, it's Holder Heck's birthday stream. All right, we gotta raid Holder Heck then, because it's his birthday. We gotta do that shit. But let me give Big Game Mikey a shout out first, since it didn't let me do it earlier. There we go. But yeah, blood learning. Python, SQL, like that shit's just, it's super impressive because it's hard enough to learn that shit when you're a college student, but to learn that stuff in your 30s and 40s, to reinvent yourself in terms of your career, that's just next level, and I just have a ton of respect for someone who's willing to do that. What was work before computer shizzle? Mikey was selling ice. You doing DevOps? Yeah. Big gay, literally Walter White, Mikey. Yo, give me one sec though. I got this. I will miss that, being able to, just take a leak on my own private property, whatever the fuck I want. I'm a data engineer. Hell yeah.
but dude, again, the fact that you're going and choosing to learn SQL and learn Python and all that shit, a lot of people just don't want to do that. A lot of people just want to stay in their comfort zone. They don't want to learn anything new. They don't want to reinvent themselves. The fact that you're doing that is why you're going to succeed when other people won't. So I really fuck with that. I'm really proud of you. Anyway, I do think it is time for us to go ahead and end the stream though. I will be live again tomorrow. We're gonna hit deadlift. Hopefully, I don't think it will be. Hopefully it's a little bit warmer than this because today it was fucking cold. Tomorrow it's also gonna be fucking cold. It's gonna be below 32 again, which sucks, but what are you gonna do? We'll make it work. Anywho, I think we're gonna raid the Holder Heck today just because it's his birthday, and I'm a big fan of that. Get brought on as a W2, I'm definitely getting that degree, either a business or IT. Let's go, bro. I hope you do. That's fantastic. So we're gonna raid the Holder Heck. Raid message, as always, is Bull Rush. Bull Rush. God, my hands are so beat up from doing these workouts that I can barely type. Well, thank you all very much for coming out. I will be live again tomorrow, and hopefully I can get Stream Elements working again. For some reason, it ain't today, but that is it for me today, y'all. So, as always, I want to tell y'all to make good decisions. Good decisions form your actions. Those actions form your habits. Habits form your values, and those values form an ethos to be your guide star through the rough waters of life. Much love, y'all. Come in for the hug. God, I'm sore. Cheers. See you tomorrow, 9 a.m.